And Raj, I think you had Keith number one back when we did our rankings in like August.
Yeah.
And yeah, just as the season wore on and as he's performed in the Arizona Fall League, it's made more and more sense that yeah, this guy should probably be our number one, just based on his ceiling and how comfortable we are with his floor, as it were. Like he just looks like he's going to hit, and he's got enough power to hit for impact, and he also has a very good idea of the strike zone. He's not going to be like a 15% walk right guy, because if there's a pitch in the zone that he can drive, he will, and he'll drive it to all fields. That's probably the most impressive thing I've seen from Colt Keith, is his ability to take a pitch away in the strike zone and hit it incredibly hard away. He'll just hit it the opposite way at 105 miles an hour. And some guys, Orkelson among them, will just not swing at that because they can't drive it to where he wants to, but Keith can. And but that also means that he's not going to he'll probably have a ton of at bats where he gets a hit on the second pitch, but he'll also have a bunch of at bats where he works like an 8-pitch walk. It's just he's going to swing when he can drive the ball. So I don't know. I'm in our private discussion, I made some irresponsible comparisons, but I don't know if I want to bring those out on air.
I think you should, honestly.
Well, all right, no, that's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I said there's a 5% chance. There's a 5%. So if you take 100 Colt Keiths, exactly where they are right now,
And you pick out 5 of them.
5 of them will end up as Rafael Devers.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
The 95th percentile outcome for Colt Keith. He's roughly the same size. Devers is a little shorter, but he's a lefty who is aggressive in the zone, isn't going to walk a ton, but also won't strike out a ton. Probably not a great fielder. That's my main concern with him at third base. Is I don't know if he can stick there.
He's got a good arm though.
Velocity. He crushes the ball, and yeah, he's a guy who could hit 280 to 300 maybe in his prime with 20, 25, 30 home runs.
What I saw him in Lansing was exactly what you were talking about with that opposite field power, Chris. Remember that game where he took a pitch? I think it was against that junk ball or lefty that Lansing was throwing, and that guy fooled everybody but Colt Keith. And Colt Keith was able to take a pitch that was just kind of spit again. I think it was Jeff. Was it Jeff Chrysler? I think it was.
Yeah, Criswell. I don't know.
Yeah, Criswell.
Criswell's the righty.
Oh, I'm sorry, but there's some. No, you're right. But I just think of some just junk ball guy that was just baffling. Like he threw his highest is what 84, 85. What it was, or something like that. Anyways, takes a pitch from the outside corner and just smokes it. Absolutely smokes it to left field. But I also in the field, I understand where we've talked about this. Maybe possibly put him in the outfield at one point. But I do like his arm. He has good range on his arm. He makes safe throws. In other words, he's solid defensively, and we've seen him, I think, collectively 6 times in the last 2 years, and he can hold his own. I think defensively, he's not. Is he going to be an infielder long term? The way he's growing, he might be Jim Thome at this point. Who knows? Maybe a DH, but first base. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you finished your point. I don't want to cut you off there.
I was just going to say, I think that overall his glove is not a bad thing. I think his glove doesn't do him any harm, but I think he doesn't got any reps in the outfield as far as I'm concerned. But the Tigers don't have anybody in their system currently that can hit for power in the outfield above Double A. Mm-hmm. I think that's fair to say. Is that fair to say, Yooper? You think?
Yeah, I believe that's probably very fair. The whole thing, I agree with having Keith up top. I think this is the right spot at this time. I mean, obviously, we're basing a lot on a couple of months of high production, but it was a very impressive couple of months, and he showed no signs of slowing down before that injury. So I think he deserves to be where he is. It's interesting, we just spoke with Donovan from the Padres site about going with high school players versus college guys. And it's so interesting that in that short draft of 2020, when they took Keith with their last pick, he was their 6th player. I remember very clearly sitting there thinking, man, they have enough bonus money. They could take a high school guy. and I didn't think they would. I really didn't, because that just wasn't Avila. But they did. So I'm always wondering, did Avila make that choice? Who did? I mean, where did that call come from? Because certainly at this point it's working out, and it was kind of a deviation from their standard.
But yeah, Keith has definitely put on some weight, and he's done it on purpose. He said as much. He said he wanted to. He looked at guys in the big leagues, and he wants to hit 30 plus home runs like they do. So he was like, I'll just get big. And that's it's like my main concern is this defense, but I don't think it's so bad that he can't survive in the big leagues, right? Like we saw Miguel Cabrera play third base. I mentioned Devers. Austin Riley is not a Gold Glover with third base, but I think the Braves are okay with him over there because he crushes the ball. And Colt Keith could be that, but left-handed. So I mean, there's a lot of optimism there. And one of the big things that we talked about this, had he not suffered that shoulder injury, he would have been in Erie probably within the month. And I think he probably would have done really well. After he probably would have need some time to adjust, but his approach and his bat to ball skills are very mature. So I think he would have been fine, after an initial adjustment period. He probably would have finished the year with 20 plus home runs, and I think he would get more national recognition at that point for being a 20-year-old in Double-A doing that.